Hello, hello. It's me doing a solo show. Um, oh, well, I'm distracted by something. Just a moment. Oh gosh. There we go. Sorry. Okay, I think we're on now. I was originally going to be on with Aley, as you know, and I was really excited, but she has a terrible sinus headache. Please, prayers, all you gifted healers, please say a prayer for her healing so she can have a relaxing afternoon. Let's do that. And all of you, thank you for coming, because you know how awful I feel about doing nervous I feel about doing solo shows, because I don't know, I don't feel I'm good at it. You guys are troopers for coming in. Marby is here. She gets the cookie too. And Sue Toffee, CJ, thank you so much for coming. And so what's interesting about this week, remember we were talking about, I'm going to take my glasses off. Remember we were talking about, or I'm always harping on, the one universal year. Sorry about that. But it's just new things are going to happen, even in my business, even in little tiny things. Like I've never had a week where I had two heavy hitters as on my show. I had Linda G scheduled, and I had Aley scheduled, and both of them for different reasons. For Linda G, it was a miscommunication on my part, and then on Aley, it's illness. But two in a row, I think it's interesting. So that forces me into doing two solo shows, and I did have help with Sarah Hibiscus Healings with the other solo this week, but here I am on my own now. And so I'm open to talking about anything at all. Numerology is my fun place. Hi, Linda. It's so good to see you. And Bunny is here. And then, oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you prayed for her for a healing and relaxing afternoon. I have another person. Her name is Karen. I didn't do the post yet, but she is recovering from major surgery. And it's a slow road. And so if you could please say a prayer for Karen as well, for speedy recovery. And what we do when we pray is ask our guides to petition for us. That's why we use our guidance system. And so the inner, there's two circles of guides. The one that we're most familiar with and can speak to, and they understand us and we understand them, are the closest circle. The second circle after that are the ones that move into the language we are not familiar with, because we are having a third dimensional reality. So it's like the translators. So when you pray, ask your guides to run a petition up the ladder, so to speak, and see if you can't have that. Another thing I do when I ask for prayers, thank you, prayers for Karen is coming in, for Ara, and Mickey is here too. Hello, Mickey. Jennifer, hello, Solo. Thank you so much for being here. I get nervous on my solos. So prayers for Karen, definitely. So what I also do is this, because we're sitting here trying to heal, and you might be healing from an emotional breakdown or a financial setback, or it doesn't matter what you're suffering from, and there's no degree, right? Because what you're faced with now is the most important elephant in the room. So it's whether it's healing from a major operation or if it's your flat tire, it makes no difference how severe it is. It is, and you're here. And so what you do when you pray, this is my theory. When we pray, we try to be the observer. in other words, we pray to give this load, this burden up to God. You figure it out. I don't know what to do now, and I'm in your care. So help me out here. What that does when you pray is give you an opportunity to choose the observer. Because right after that, when you really allow it to go up, you find balance in that moment. And it's up to us to decide to keep that moment. That's what faith is all about. So it doesn't mean you don't do anything, but it does mean that you be mindful that you're not alone. That's the biggest message. Another thing I do because I live a solitary life by choice, and I think some of you might too, because we're in this community together and we know what solitude means. I go on the internet and I find prayer chains. So I use the ones that don't ask for my email address or money for a prayer. Of course, there are some out there like that. So I don't use those, but there's plenty other ones. Just Google it. And the act of, because we change our life at the level of action, praying is an action, definitely, but it's a quiet one. A bigger action is to request a prayer petition for yourself or for someone else. And so what I would do is post a petition, a request. And people all over the world, especially prayer warriors, that's their thing. They do it in their home. We come to we come in and talk psychic work. They go online and look for prayer to their rituals of prayer. And they're very, very powerful, very powerful. It's like hiring the right person, right? But all over the world, your prayer will be looked at by someone or a multitude of someone's. And it just gives you another layer of feeling comforted that you're not alone in this world. So that's what I'd highly recommend. And prayers to Karen because healing from a major, I remember recently had a hip replacement. It seemed like every day I didn't improve. There wasn't an improvement in each day. And that went on for about 2 weeks or so. And then I saw improvement pretty well. But from a major surgery, I don't think hip replacement is a major surgery. It's day surgery now. But from a major surgery, that probably I'm just projecting here. It's probably extended that day after day, you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. And that's why Karen, understanding that we love her and we support her and we put healing energies out for her, will help her cope with these days that don't feel like they're improving. So bravo for everybody. And let me just check in here and see where we're going here. So Linda Bishop's here. Jen Basic is here. And Deanne is here. Deanne Rowe. Sue Tuffick. Bunny is here. Bunny. Love that. And Cynthia Smith. Thank you for joining us. I know this is an odd time for you. Are you home for lunch? So anytime you want to, if you have a question or a statement, I would like to hear your statements. A lot of you were on my live that I did this week about the royal family and numbers. And I was jumping around a little bit because with numerology, I get really excited because in my private zone, as I'm studying the numbers and the personalities that I know, the different personalities I know, I see that where everything connects. And when I see something connect, it's like, oh, look what I figured out. Not that I want to say, look at me. It's just like, if you can understand how I did this, you can understand doing it with anything in your life. Because I truly believe that if numerology helps you understand yourself. Now, I only use the life path numbers because I've studied those the most. And I personally feel that when I go into the name numerology, it's interesting, but it's not as useful for me. So I just don't go into. I will eventually. I'm sure. I'm sure. Oh, wait. You had surgery? God bless you. Prayers all around you. Prayers all around. Cynthia Smith had surgery on Tuesday. Thank you for sharing that with us so we can move into prayer. There's meandering me here. Oh, I'm so happy you said that. Really enjoying your channel. Just found you a couple days ago. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate you. Oh, you saw it yesterday? Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Yes. Let me explain that one. Now, that's a show that really, I think, hit a home run. It was with Robert Ginsburg, Bob Ginsburg, who has started seeing signs of the afterlife when his daughter Bailey passed away. And so when he would go into these groups, there'd be group counseling that he'd go to, and he'd want to discuss these experiences, and the moderator of all the groups would say, no, we're not discussing that. That's not why we're here. We're here to concentrate on the symptoms of grief and how to move forward, which has merit. But he was frustrated with that, and so he opened up his own foundation. I believe all of us could probably volunteer for that. It's all free, the foundation. So if anyone, I learned this 10 years ago about him, 10 years ago, read his book, a couple of his books. And so when I do counseling for people in deep grief, unusual grief, like desperate, violent endings that produce grief, I'm not equipped to counsel on that level. I'm equipped to do a lot of things, just saying. But I know where I have nothing to say because I can't imagine that grief. If I can't imagine it, I have a hard time getting into the right words that would help. And I want to help. So I refer everyone to the Forever Family Foundation for counseling. They have retreats all the time for people who have lost loved ones challenged with grief. They're going to have in October a conference, including all of us, a conference of open to all light workers that would further, I believe it's going to be in the LA area. So I just wanted to shout out that, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. I really did too. I really did. So Cynthia had eye surgery. How many fingers do I have up? No, I'm just joking. That's a terrible thing I hope you're feeling better. Sometimes my jokes can hit sideways. Hit sideways if you're really in pain. I apologize for that. Oh, Denise, Miss Shasta, celebrating canna lilies, strong leaves in the muddy grass, blossoms so too, taking heart from the strength of nature. We are nature and we are strong too. Beautiful. Highly recommend Denise's Substack. I don't know if you're still active on Substack. You could put your link in the comments for your Substack. Talk about a wordsmith. I can pull together a few sentences that might make you smile or happy or laugh, which I appreciate, people laughing at my work. But boy, every single word that Denise Schultz writes lands perfectly. And it's like I don't know how much you struggle over writing something, but it seems quite natural. So I highly recommend signing up for her Substack. Let's see if she put it in here. Oh, good. Thank you, Cynthia. saying no worries, it's all good. I appreciate that. When you're not in a two-way conversation, it's hard to read people. But I'm so glad you liked it yesterday. So you're looking. So Sue is looking for a reading. We'll see how that goes. Just a second. Oh. I send healing prayers to Karen from my guides to her guides to ask to follow your energy. They're all to find Karen in USA. What a sweetheart you are, Sue Toffee. Now that's a kind heart. We're all kind hearts, but I love that. I love that. Cynthia says, it is the 11 master number, I believe. I wonder what that was. That might be for a message for someone else. Oh, what a pretty room. This is not my room. There's also a room that I put in my back that has a piano in it. And Cynthia said, I didn't know you played the piano. It was like a mini grand. I live in a mobile home, and the wall, it has a green sheet behind me. And if I reach back, I'll be able to touch it. It's that small. So that's my studio. But I think it's pretty also. I wish I wish it was mine. It is not. Linda was saying, saw that show on the replay. He was great. Marby wants a general. Awesome. Oh, here we are. Denise, all kind mind to mind on Substack. Getting ready to post many more soon. Just uploaded my 4,750th short articles to sort and post. Oh my gosh. Prolific. I wish you great success on that. All kind mind to mind on Substack. That's Denise's. So I thank you for putting that up there. She also says, no struggle, the flow. I know. No struggle writing. It's the flow of the river overflowing fountain. I agree with this. Let me tell you, when I did a couple of, I spent too long yesterday on the internet, on screen time, and my eyes felt so bad and swollen and awful. And I thought, if I spend this much time on the internet, like doing shows and stuff, I'm not going to be able to write. And then it dawned on me, I don't look at the screen when I write. I just look in the air and close my eyes and type. And whatever comes to mind, just type. And so I'm not looking at the screen. I'm just looking at the air or looking at nothing. And it flows. So I know that fountain that flows of creativity. And so and sometimes when I write, it's such a clean way to write when you're not looking at the keyboard or the monitor. And sometimes when I write something funny, I laugh out loud. It's like I'm in the audience with popcorn saying, oh, that was funny. Oh, that was funny. So Marby says she went to the dentist. I got out a bad tooth. Oh, good. It feels immediately feel better, I bet. It says, you said something about you can't get into the thoughts or something. Oh, to that effect. Yes. No, it's not something due to my life path number. It's not one of those afflictions or challenges for me. It's just my human experience in the world. Because let me tell you, everyone, when you counsel anybody, you draw upon your own experiences and what you learn from that. It's not like you teach from there. It's just that you are aware of that. And that might be a way that what happened to you before might be a way into the room of knowing, right? So that's how how it works. And it's just that I have I hate to say an empath, but there is a barrier that I have that I can't go to or through. I signed up for, what's her name? Pam Coronado. It's called Sensing Murder. I think it's Netflix. It's one of the first, she's in the first season, and I've been following her ever since because she was the best one. And so you can go to Pam Coronado, and she will teach you how to do search and rescue and remote viewing and all this stuff. And she's reasonably priced. She's a lovely lady. And one time I called her because I got a phone call from someone in a desperate situation. The actual event was happening as we were talking, and she was desperate to know if her friend had survived the fall. It was on mountain climbing. It was a fall. And I saw that she didn't survive. But the weight of that message was too much for me. I didn't want the responsibility. I couldn't. And I said, let me go into prayer. Well, I went into prayer, but I also called Pam Coronado, and I got a hold of her, and I said, how do I do this? What do I do now? And she was so kind. She says, just tell her to tell the authorities, the search and rescue, to get the drones out. Of course, Pam had sensed that she had died as well. But we didn't talk about that. We talked about solutions for the situation. And so I followed her. I called my client, and I said, go to the authorities and tell them to get the drones. And I admitted I just didn't get anything. So you can't be a remote viewer into murder cases with that. That's just my conditioning and where I can take myself. The other person that called me out of the blue was trying to cope with a very challenging, violent situation that I wasn't able. I get so far into it and can align and kind of get some coping and some messages, but then it falls apart for me. Just full disclosure. Believe me, if I do not trust what I get, I will not say it. And and I will tell you that's all I got, or I don't have anything, or I can't seem to get there. And so I'm totally not shy about that, because I know that anybody who's sitting in front of me or has some sort of question that they have already in their mind mulled over a bunch of times. They might have gone to their friends, their family, their coworker with the challenge. They might have gone to their therapist, their clergy. And they're still baffled by it. And then all of a sudden, well, I'm just going to pay for a reading and see, So I know that by the time they get to me, they've been through all of that, and none of those people, as best as I'm sure they've tried, did not have the right combination of words to have her recalibrate into a space where she can become empowered to make her own choices. So that means every single thing I say is going to go straight to the heart. I don't care how skeptical they might be. Doesn't matter how skeptical they feel they are. If I say one thing that maybe I needed to expand on and didn't realize, or they misunderstood, or if it didn't land right, felt like a prediction that's bad or something, and they perceive that's the only thing they're going to remember. Yeah, it was a pretty good reading, but she said I'm going to have a flat tire. I never say that to anybody, but that's the kind of thing. So you, as a sitter, when you reach out to anybody, understand that you can, even though you might be going to a friend who's very, very talented in their psychic work, you can take the reading as face value and not let it absorb if it doesn't feel right to you. Now, everyone here has a level of comfort with that, and they don't say to the person, doing the reading, it's not landing, or, they don't make it sandpaper it into whatever they want. They don't do that. They just appreciate it, gave some feedback, and no harm, no foul, right? Because sometimes people can connect and sometimes not. Boy, I really rambled on about that. But so I think the people here in my audience, my viewers, subscribers, and members understand that part. But in general, people don't, especially people who are afraid of psychic work, but they really want to have an answer to the question they can't figure out on their own. So let me just, yeah. So Cynthia, that's not about the 11. And numerology isn't about, we have certain strengths and weaknesses, but they're also, when we come in the world, that's our numbers, right? But childhood trauma, childhood sheltering, or experiences, and all that other stuff kind of makes us come to conclusions which can either fight against the numbers you were born with or flow with it. And all it means with numerology is a conscious awareness of it. Like, for instance, personal years. So the personal year for any one person is going to gift you with blessings and some interesting situations you get to choose differently for. So knowing what that's going to be, how that's going to manifest for you, is half the battle, because you're not missing the blessings. They say, oh, there it is. I remember my numbers. You don't say that really, but it's like you connect the dots and say, I'm going to explore that, or I'm going to say yes to that, even though I feel uncomfortable, that type of thing. And then the lessons, when you see it, when I see my lesson coming through, it's like, oh, there it is. And I'll give you an example of that. I'm in a 9 personal year. 9 means that you just declutter, basically. You just clean out this emotionally, physically, you clean out stuff. And the stuff you're supposed to let go of is just going to get really complicated by the end of the year if you're not on top of it. So I'm decluttering, and so I'm picking up things that need to be thrown away. But I get this, when I look at my stuff, I have such cool stuff. That's what stops me from decluttering. But that it has helped knowing that this is my job no matter what, because when I put something that into the garbage that I think, oh, maybe someday someone might like that, or I constantly scan my memory to see, oh, who would like this thing? Who could need this? Who can I bless with this? All of that chatter needs to stop for me to be successful in my 9 personal year. And so that discomfort that I'm feeling, I say to myself, oh, there it is. And when I'm uncomfortable, I know that I'm on the right track. So I hope that helps people when you're talking about numbers and how to get to know yourself, right? Bunny was saying, do you have a particular way you get into the flow? Yes. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I don't want interruption, because if I'm in the flow, anything that interrupts me will get a talking to, because it's such a happy place for me. So I do clear my schedule, turn off my phone. That's my ritual. And then I keep writing until the flow happens. It doesn't matter if I can't pull things together, the flow isn't happening, or the muse isn't working, because I know it's just a matter of time. Sometimes it's 1 minute that I'm kind of wandering, and sometimes it's a half an hour. but I know if I just keep doing it, something's going to flow. And then, man, I wrote, I got to tell you, I wrote like 10,000 words in like 4 hours. And I couldn't believe I did that. I certainly wasn't counting them as I was doing it, because the flow was so delicious that it just came out. Now I write everything and then I go back and I edit. And but that's how I do it. You just stick with it until the flow begins. So somebody was laughing here. I think it's a private one. Oh, thank you, Linda. Please give a thumbs up and subscribe. It's free. Thank you so much. Bunny, the room of knowing. I learned about the room of knowing by knowing the dimensions, understanding the dimensions through Barbara Handcloud. She described the dimensions. So the 9th dimension, this is going to be a little different than what the 9th dimension is the room of knowing for me. So that we have the crystal core of the earth, which is the 1st dimension. We have the earth. So anything that lives and is between the surface and the crystal core, that's the 2nd dimension. The 3rd dimension is all of our stuff, right? And think of your feet, right? Your feet, it's all of our stuff, where we walk, where we do this and where we do that. And then as we get closer to the 4th dimension, we start getting into our heads, right? The 4th dimension is how we feel about our stuff and how we feel about the news. I'll just pick on the news, how we feel about the news. And there's this flow of opinions in the 4th dimension. That's where a lot of us get stuck. But if you understand that the 4th dimension is malleable, then you can move into the 5th. Now, it's a misnomer that you have to master the 5th dimension to get to the 6th, then the 6th to get to the 7th, and it's not true. What it is that so here's the earth, let's say here, and the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th dimensions are like candles on a cake. So you just draw. So some of you draw from this 8th dimension. Some of you draw from all of this stuff, from different things. That's why you don't want to, you don't have to master one. So the 5th dimension is divine love, right? So that's when we find, okay, I've got opinions about this in the 4th dimension. And so I'm going to rise above that and see what the air is like above those opinions. And that's when you move into the different degrees of love. And then you try love out. So you pull love down into where you are. It's not like you can go up and just like be there for a while, but you pull the love through your heart and metabolize it into where you are in the 4th dimension. So you pull the blessings from the 5th down. That's our job. We're here to pull things to the earth and change the perspectives and the trajectory of how the earth is going. That's our job. So then that's divine love. I'm going to start with the 9th dimension instead of going up that way, because I can remember the series better. So the 9th dimension is where time, space folds. So this is where you get portals, entities, the way they come in. It's like all the answers, a lot of the answers are there. And also people who remote view need the 9th. People who time travel need the 9th. People who do mediumship and go back to different lifetimes need the 9th to be able to do their work. So the 8th dimension is all about epiphanies. You just understand and know things. And if you don't bother looking for someone to collaborate your discovery, if you just simply trust it and move it into your life and the level of action, that's the best way to do things, right? So if you get an idea, a lot of people well, I don't know if a lot of people, some people might question it and say, I had this thought. What do you think about this thought? That's your blessing. The eighth dimension is your blessing. And your job is to draw from the eighth dimension into your heart and move it into our fourth dimension, third dimension area. That's where ideas come from. So that's the eighth dimension. So that's epiphany. Then we go to the seventh, and that is sound. So that's where people need to go when they hear spirit and they hear the deceased loved ones and they hear their animals talking and they hear birds chirping and they hear things. Okay, so that's the sound part of it. How you get into that room of knowing is through sound. So a good rock and roll song on the radio that brings you back to things, and then you go back to that era and you remember things, and then you pull that good feeling back down and start living it through the fourth and third dimension. See, that's how we work it. Then we go into the sixth dimension, which is form. So the form part of it is when you can manifest. This is where you manifest. So it's the fifth dimension is love. So that's emotion. And then we work into form. So a lot of people work with forms when they're doing their dowsing and things, rods and sound produces form as well. That experiment where there's a bass speaker or something, you put some cloth over it and then you put sand on top of it and then you start the music and it forms into these geometric shapes. That's the combining of the sixth and seventh dimensions. Someone thought of that by pulling both of those, pulling from that fountain. So that's how spirit work happens. And so any one of these can be the room of knowing. All right. So people who do Akashic Records work, you need to get into the ninth. And then so on and so forth. So the thing is that we don't have to master anything. We just have to be open to it. To get to the answer you're looking for, you use different tools. I use different tools. I first form a question that needs to be answered. And that's when I'm a pedestrian. When I do readings here, I'm a pedestrian when I write your form your question. Will I have a good time at the party? Let's say that. And so to get to the room of knowing, I have studied the tarot, and I have developed different ways that I can have spirit talk to me. So that's from the sixth dimension. So I work my tools, right? And then as it draws out into an idea, then I can bring it into a form and move it into the answer. So that's moving into your room of knowing. I'm glad you asked me that. I didn't realize I had that much to say about it. I'm just going to come down here real quick and see. Recommend a reading with, Debra. I had one at the beginning of the year. It helped me understand what my personal year was and say yes to things I would normally say no to, vice versa. I've experienced the same thing, Aura. It's so much easier when you know that normally you would say no to that because you're comfortable where you are, right? But if you know your number and you know what life is asking you to do, it's so fun. And so, and it's not life isn't as hard. I've discovered life is just not as hard. Hi, Vicki. Very good to see you. Let's see. Oh, yes, Barbara Handcloud. It's called The Alchemy of the Nine Dimensions. She has something on Gaia TV too. She's remarkable. Yeah, vibrational. Yep. Somebody is expressing, watched on videos. I watched one create exact shape of a turtle shell and thought, that's how God created a turtle with that sound. Oh my gosh, I haven't heard of that specific word, Denise. Cal, cal, uh, Calbney plates, but I'm going to write it down actually because I'd like to see that in action, because every time I watch something that God had a hand in, it just makes me so happy. Plates. Oh, thank you for that. And we've got here, when feeling unconditional love, would that be you tapping into the fifth or something spirit brings forth? It's a dance. That's the thing. When you're not feeling connected to love and you're just in a bad mood or, whatever. First of all, you're human. You're going to get mad at people and you're going to do things and say things that you could have done better. But don't get hung up on that. The thing about unconditional love is that it doesn't fit neatly in everyday pedestrian life. So that's the dance. That's the trick. And many, I know you guys think differently, of this statement because it's a misnomer. And I know you're too evolved to think this, that unconditional love means to allow everything. It's passive. You just simply whistle past the graveyard instead of addressing big issues. It's like, but I do see that there are centuries in our arena that are born to hold that spirit, monks for one, to hold that it's almost indifference to the real world, to hold that unconditional love. That's what they were born to do. That was their calling. They're happy to do that. So when we try to go into unconditional love, for me personally, I'm not speaking for everyone, but for me personally, I can't hold it for very long. I can hold it intellectually, and then I have to get to work. and I have to have my opinions and my judgments to get through the world so I don't hurt myself or hurt someone else. I have to be present and because my judgments keep me safe much of the time. So back to your question, I went off the rail on that one. Unconditionally, yes, you're drawing from the fifth, and what it is that they're corresponding. So if you're having trouble connecting with the fifth, your guides are there to say, okay, let me give you, this is how they connect it. They have a pathway, an understanding, a language that you guys have agreed to get you into that room of knowing on the fifth. All right. So that's the language you use. Now, how do you do it? You pray to your guides. Oh, I want to feel unconditional love. What's next? You go into your imagination, because it's like, you have your physical body, your brains to keep you safe. Then you have your imagination, and that's what can tap into, because when you use your imagination, you're a child. You're a child of God. You have a novice heart when you're in your imagination. And that's where information guides can give you information to, like little breadcrumbs. Okay, we're going to bring this down, and you can feel unconditional love. Tricky part about unconditional love is that some good people, light workers, put themselves down if they can't hold that in its fullness for a long time. You say, oh, I'm not spiritual enough. If I was spiritual enough, I'd be unconditional love every day. That's a dangerous kind of lofty dream, in my opinion. This is only my opinion. So it's only my opinion. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you found that interesting. It's a good, the dimensions, the way I learned them from Barbara Handcloud is Clow, is it made so much sense to me that I was able to get farther along in my spiritual work. And I want to bless you guys with that too. If this information serves you well, understand that and move into your language, because we have different languages with our guides. They're like our best friends, and they know what to do or how to orchestrate life in a way that can get you to think about something, to have that epiphany. They cannot just tell you what to do. If there is a guide or a ghost that comes, an entity comes in and tells you what to do, that's the wrong energy. You got to banish that, bind and banish that, because we're here to make our own choices. They are here to remind us what direction we're going into and ask us, is this choice you're about to make going to be towards your goal, your blueprint, or away from it? That's all they do. That's all they do, because it's our game, totally. So, but they are the conduit. They're the clipboard people that say, okay, you want a dash of unconditional love. Now, if you pray to your or talk to your guides for unconditional love and you don't feel it, you start getting judgmental. Don't think they're not listening. What they're doing is saying, no, you got to be on your toes, because you're going to get a feeling about someone that you need to get away from. But if you're all unconditional, it's, can run into trouble. Chaladni plates. Thank you so much, Denise. So it's CHLADNI plates. I'm going to get into that. Oh, Melba. She is an incredible healer. Melba Amos. Now, Melba, do you have, there it is. Whole being synergy. Let me give you a shout out with Melba. She is, if you're working with trauma in any way or can't get over the hill on something, look her up. Whole being synergy. I highly recommend her. If you want to put your email address in the chat, please do it. I welcome that. So T. Lynn says, when I experienced it, was feeling neutral. Just walked into the room and started, sobbing. This is someone's private. She was talking to someone else and I'm eavesdropping, sorry. So that's the way I tend to roll. And Melba, I would love you to put that that email address to you. Now, I had a couple of starred people here. Anybody else have a question about family foundation, family? Now I lost it. I'm way up here when you are way here listening to me, and I'm like typing in my mind. Oh, Bunny, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. She says, I so appreciate you talking about these things today. It really helps me. And one thing I want to do is help you, because I got to tell you, I struggled in my life. Everyone struggles, but I'm not anything different. But in my adult life, I was having challenges, and I no secret with controlling my emotions, and I couldn't regulate that very well. And I did go to a doctor's, so I'm good on that. The thing is that I have never learned a topic that served me so well than just the life path number, not the destiny number, the whatever number, not the number of the day, not any of that. It's just the life path number. I was able to explore. And then I was blessed with all those readings that I got to do all, on the hotline, one right after the other. And I put all of those numbers to the test, and then I expanded my knowledge. And that's what I like to teach people, because I'm not going to say, number 5 is ABC. right? Because it's so much more than that. And for you to understand and remember what Life Path 5 means to you is to learn the basics of it. And then you label, this is building a library, a language with your spirit guides. You label someone in your life or an event in your life with that number. Doesn't mean that that person you're thinking about is a number 5. It doesn't matter. So when you're learning the numbers, learn the numbers and then think, oh yeah, and there's different degrees of that number. They do this when they're happy and sad, like my book and stuff. But then you can say, it'll remind you, say, oh, Uncle Carl used to do that when he was mad. This sounds like Uncle Carl. Doesn't mean Uncle Carl is a 5 life path, but that's how you build the personality of a number and you can remember it. So T-Lynn says, when you experience visions, is that tapping into different dimensions or merely the third eye pineal gland opening? It's like both, because you need the third eye, which is really, really close to your imagination. So imagination and intuition go side by side. And so when you're looking at visions, you're tapping into the 9th dimension. Now, no dimension is better than the other. It's not like, but we always think higher numbers are better and master numbers are better. And that's not true. They all have their own value and place. The 9th dimension is where it can fold time, open portals, close portals. And when we do pray, we need to close those portals. We open a portal by saying, dear God, let's say, and we close it by saying amen. So that's an universal understanding. But when you tap into the 9th dimension, I don't ever want to scare you or anything, but you are working with the whole universe that holds things you've never experienced before. So understand that when you have a vision, it might be worth your while to pursue that vision and bring it into the world. It might be worth your while to question the vision, and then just the idea of it, you put it to the test in everyday life. So if things are true, if things are divine wisdom, universally true, then it should fit in every part of your life or most parts of your life. So you vet these visions. If it's a lovely vision, take it for what it is, a blessing and a gift, but you'd be tapping into the 9th through your third eye and pineal gland. You see what I'm saying? That's the tool. I use tarot, you use third eye. See what I mean? So I don't rely on my third eye. I do have intuition. Believe me, I have intuition, but I don't count on it because I'm a creative. So I can dream up and it's hard to stay in. This is what I'm rigid about myself. When I'm doing a reading, I'm constantly tossing cards in another deck saying, am I on the right track? Am I in my intuition, or is this my imagination? And I got to tell you, when I get this real incredible strength, just saying, oh, this is definitely your answer, right? That real knowing, you think it's an epiphany, and I'll toss cards and say, no, it's your imagination. I trust that. And I would say, oh my gosh, let me check this out, I'd say. And then I'd throw the cards and say, oh, never mind. That was just my own idea of things. Let me get back to intuition. Totally honest with that. Melba says she does in-person and Zoom sessions. She does live in Canada. Thank you for that question. Ness was saying, yes, agreeing with me. The imagination, intuition go hand in hand. Absolutely. Guess that's what I was questioning. Is it internal in my mind or external, another dimension? And do guides steer us towards the visions? Your choice is to go to the visions and draw the visions to you. Your guides cannot intervene. If you decide to go there, I'm sure you have a reason to open your mind up to do either remote viewing or folding time back to the Akashic records of different lifetimes. I mean, there's a reason for you to do that. You go through your third eye. They don't facilitate that. They do try to lean you towards the good, just like angels. They can't tell you what to do. They can't say, hey, this is a bad idea. This isn't the day for that. They're not going to say that. If you choose to move forward, and that's your business, of course, you're going to move forward, and they're not going to challenge that. But what they will do is encourage you to ask questions of clarity. Like, for instance, is this vision or this absolute knowing, is that true? There are some entities, Jason Quit, and that's Quit with 2 T's. Jason Quit does see entities, and he had an entity. He felt her. He was in bed on his side, and behind him there was an entity as he was waking up, and the entity gave him a message. It said, "You're going to die of cancer within 2 years." And as he's waking up, he's thinking, oh, that would be such a bummer. I would hate that, all that I'd have to go through, and then leaving my family and my friends. And this is in his waking up stage. Oh, no. He was just taking it in, right? Because when you're coming out of sleep, you kind of take things in, right? And then he woke up, and he's able to see them and touch them. And he said this on stage when I saw him. He says, I turned around and it was the most beautiful angel he had ever seen. And then he questioned himself, and then he went for it. And he says, when you grab them and they wiggle like this? And everyone in the room said, no, I've never done that. Well, he says, well, I was wiggling, that instant. So are you a child of God? And it cannot. When the word God, Christ, whatever energy you want to bring in, when that hits the room, when that hits your awareness, the evil can't breathe around that kind of love. They can't breathe. They have to leave. So that's why that's it. So that's what guides and angels will lean you towards the good, will support you through the bad by giving you the information you need to. And the whole idea is, and the bad stuff that happens to you isn't all that bad. I mean, it's bad. That didn't come out right. That's something that you needed to learn, that life is teaching you. So enabling you to get to why you came down here. So they lean you through your choice, but absolutely, positively, without a shadow of a doubt, we make our own choices. So you can't say, my guide told me to do that. So, and here's Denise. Oh, I have, thank you. Debra gives outstanding reading, so insightful, inspiring, and accurate. Thank you very much for that shout out. I appreciate that. I hope I cleared that up. T-Lynn, about that. And if you can get a hold of me, because my contact is all over my website. And right in the show notes, duh. So if you still have trouble with my answer, and you really want to understand where I'm coming from, but you can't connect it to who you are, and you want to pursue it, give me a call. We'll talk about that. So, coming to the end of the hour, boy, was I jibber-jabbering today. Here we go. I feel spirit present, can usually sense who, but have seen interdimensional beings in between states when just walking startled me. Yes. So you may be, I haven't been in your records. I don't have permission for that. I do that with soul awareness. You could be from a soul family that does have ET DNA. So the Arcturians, Palladians, I can't remember the other one. There's 3 or 4 soul groups that have worked closely with ETs, aliens, or I hate to say aliens, just interdimensional beings, both from outside our galaxy and our world here and inside. So, but you might have something like that going on. If you're able to see like that and it doesn't bother you, then enjoy the process until it doesn't, you're not enjoying it anymore. And then you put a stop to it. And she said, oh, the clarification was great. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, I have had, oh, goodbye, Melva. Got a slide. I have a mediumship evening tonight. Ooh, I'll see you soon. Oh, great. We'll have a great evening with that. Thank you, everyone, for coming in and helping me with my solo. And I did move into something different today. This is my first time on that I wasn't constantly feeling self-conscious, and I'm hoping it came out well. I just need to practice solos more often. So if you liked this, please comment so I know I'm on the right track. And Linda is saying blessings to everyone. Remember to pray for those who are suffering, and remember to take care of yourself, take care of each other, because we all love you and you mean a lot to us. So I'll see you next time. Oh, wait, tomorrow I'm going to be on with Lilith. So she does the first 20 minutes or so with astrology, and then we do readings. So it's kind of fun. I'll talk to you later. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.